Today we are diving deep into the rock side of things with the Aurora DSP Laney Ironheart plugin. Let's do it. So first off, we've got to say the Laney Ironheart plugin by Aurora DSP is a digital representation of the famous now Laney Ironheart amps and also the Ironheart pedal amp, which came out, I believe, last year. And these are all known for their really punchy, cut-through, distorted tones, high-gain tones, but also their nicely balanced cleans with a crisp sound to them. So overall, the Laney Ironheart series has always had a very distinct sound to it. Let's see if this plugin can recreate it.
Okay, so looking at the actual interface, what you get is essentially three channels. You get a clean, a rhythm, and a lead channel. You have a 3-band EQ for all of them, and a gain and a volume. Then you also have a pre-boost, which you can activate like this. So that comes in front of each of those channels. Then you have a dynamics dial, which is really handy just to dial in that tone exactly. You have a very broad tone knob, then a reverb and a watt selection. So you can scale it down to 0.1 watts up to the max, which is 10 watts. On the stomp section in front of the amp, then you also have two different sounding overdrives or slash distortions. These are very cool just to bring in that sound, tighten things up if you want to, or add a bit of extra juice to your solos. The cabs, very simply, you have a selection of two cabs, two 4x12s, a GS 4x12 and an LA 4x12. You can mix and match them. So one on the right, one on the left, and you have a selection of three microphones, ribbon, dynamic, and tube. You can change the angles of the mics and the distance. You can obviously then also load your own IRs.
Okay, enough talk. Let's go through a few sound samples outside of the mix. What you heard at the beginning of the video was in the mix with a backing track. Now let's just go through a clean, a crunchy, and a lead tone just by itself with no post EQ, just guitar straight into audio interface and the Aurora DSP plugin. What I find really interesting is, do you notice how the dynamics and the tone controls actually allow for a wide variety of sounds? So big range of sounds. It goes from full, little nuanced, if you want a more mid scoop or something along those lines, to a full blown, sonic assault, put everything on 10 and you've got it. Also the cab section, although very limited compared to most plugins nowadays, I think it's got 2 cabs and 3 mics, so it is quite limited. It still allows you to mix and match the kind of sound that you want. You can obviously also load your own IRs. Navigating the plugin overall is fairly easy. I find that everything is in that main window, and that's one of the big pluses for me. So I do like the fact that everything is on one screen. There's no various screens to dive into, pop-ups, stuff like that, because that just complicates things, and everything is easy for quick changes. I've got to say, maybe a lot of people may disagree with me, but I still overall find that the Ironheart General Laney display of controls, both on the physical amp and on this plugin, are not the most intuitive. I've seen other reviewers say it's really easy to navigate. Personally, I don't agree. I don't think someone who's never had that experience will pick it up. It's slightly cramped, it's slightly complicated where the lead, the channel boost is, all that stuff. But, it's not rocket science, but I think it's not the most logical way of doing it. But that's a taste thing. So, your mileage may vary on that. Overall, you might be thinking, do I really need another high gain amp sim? Well, the question is not really valid, because what's really different about this, and I find that this is even a better case than, for example, the Blackstar plugin. What Laney and Aurora DSP did in this case was literally a one-to-one copy of that amp. So if you are getting this amp sim because you want a, kind of everything do all amp, plug in with 30 different amps and 40 different well, this is completely wrong. This is not for you, right? You will be getting this amp if you are aware and are familiar with the Ironheart amps or amp pedal or the Laney sound generally, specifically in the Ironheart series. And what you want is a cheap, high quality plug-in version of that. What this does is very limited. It's very on the mark. It's very focused. It's just a one-to-one replica of those amps. If you like those amps, then you'll like this plugin. If you don't like those amps, you won't like this plugin. And you can't change it. The tone is the tone, and they've done really well in just nailing that tone down. It comes in a very crowded plugin market where everyone wants to do everything. But this one is just for the lovers of the Laney Ironheart sound, if you want that in a plugin format. Or if you love that sound and can't afford, for whatever reason, or it doesn't suit you to have a Laney Ironheart physical amp, but you want it in plugin format. This is very different. So I almost think it kind of sits to one side of the spectrum in terms of plugins. Also, important to remember, I always put the distinction, this is not one of those ready mixed plugins. This is a plugin that you need to dial in to find your sound, because it represents the amp. You won't take an amp, plug it in the real world and have a ready mix sound. That's not how it works. There are some plugins that do that, and there are some plugins that don't. This is more in the realistic amp section, so you'll have to dial in the plugin to your ears, to your sounds, and to the music that you're making. So there you go, guys. I think the Aurora DSP Laney Ironheart plugin is really unique, and it's a real refreshing thing to see. It's not a plugin that tries to reinvent the wheel. It's not a plugin that does something different. I think it's Laney doing something really, really smart. It's just doing a one-to-one replica of their physical amps. And that's it. They don't want to do anything else. So if you like the Laney products in the real world, you like the Laney Ironheart series in the physical amps, you get the plugin, you know exactly it's going to be like that. Similarly, if you have a desire to get one but can't afford it, this plugin is very affordable. It gives you that Ironheart sound. It's relatively, easy to use. It gives you both distorted and clean sounds, and it does what it does really, really well. So thank you so much, as always, for watching. I give it a big thumbs up to this Laney Ironheart plugin. As always, I'll put all the links to the Ironheart plugin and all the various information down in the description. And if you can, smash that subscribe button, notification bell, all that. Give me a shout in the comments if you agree with what I've said, if you think I'm a complete idiot and I should just go to bed, whatever you want. But until next time, be nice to each other, keep shredding, guys, and have fun.